And I do want to clarify the difference with the desktop versus the server. So if we were using the desktop version, if we have a desktop Linux, we would have a web browser like Firefox. We would have a graphical Windows environment. And these graphical Windows environments, depending on which version of Linux you're using, they're all based on X11, which is the protocol that was developed by MIT. It was the first Unix Windows system. There's different Windows managers that handle when you move your mouse and you make the windows bigger, you click the buttons, and these are the different names: GNOME, Unity, KDE, or the K Windows. Depending on which version of Linux, you all would have a different one. And there's two different email clients. Office productivity, the two top ones are Apache OpenOffice and LibreOffice. So it's their equivalent of Microsoft Office. And they're pretty good products. They're pretty popular. There's also a graphics editor. Okay, so X Windows, what does X Windows do? Well, it handles the video card, what it needs to know to display on your screen. It allocates sections of Windows to the applications. It handles when you overlap a window. What happens when you move one window? It has to redisplay the one behind it. It handles your pointer, your mouse. When I activate a window, how do I do that? How do I minimize a window? And in making the keyboard active in a particular window. You can't type into two windows at once. Just like on Microsoft, you activate it with your mouse and then you type into the window that you're using. So it shapes. Okay. And then the ability for the user to move and resize, that's actually called the window manager, that particular step. But I think of it all as one: X Windows system and the Windows manager. So there's some screenshots to give you an idea of what the images are. Some of them will give you a choice of which desktop you want to use. There's different types, or which file manager you want to use. Now we're focused on the server. So a server's goal is to provide services. For example, a database. All right, file servers. Network file system came right from Sun Microsystems version of Unix. They invented network file system. There's another one called Samba in Linux. There's a print server. And then there's these different services for networking. The domain name server. If I type bergen.edu, I need a domain name server to search and find the IP address of that computer. DHCP is another one, and I'm not going to go into detail, but just gives you an idea. Here's some screenshots of what the desktop Windows Manager looks like. Does it look a lot different than Microsoft Windows? What do you think? Do you think it looks a lot different, or you see similarities? It's very easy to pick up this, really. If you're familiar with Microsoft Windows, I mean, yeah, you have to get used to the differences, but it's really easy to use. And the desktop version comes with different browsers. There's also a browser called Lynx, and I mentioned this because it's a text-based browser. So you could access this while you're in terminal, if it's installed. There's going to be some tools that we're going to want to use that aren't installed. We have to run an update process to make them active. And then there's all kinds of sound editors, Handbrake, a video converter. There's a lot of tools available for Linux for the desktop. There's also languages, assembly language or assembler. That's the lowest level language. Any lower and you're coding in zeros and ones. You know, with the assembler language, you're loading registers and doing everything very granular. And the more modern language, C and C++, originally Unix was built on assembler language, but that didn't make it very portable. It was rewritten in C, and C runs on all different platforms, so that helped it be more portable. C, C++, Java, these are programming language that need to be compiled. So you have to run the compiler on these programs to create the binary which gets run. Whereas Perl, PHP, Python, and Shell are scripting languages. JavaScript's another one, where they get interpreted at runtime, line by line. And then there's different packaging tools. The one that we're going to be using for Ubuntu is called apt-get. For example, when we do our SQL lab, we're going to need to install our SQL server because it doesn't come with it.